Go on. Yep.
Are we on again? Alright, Shalom. So, I was just about to say, quick testimony. There was a time a few years ago, about 2015 or 2016, maybe, I got into a conversation with some Edomite woman. And, actually, let me tell the full story of this, right? I had to do this therapy group that I was a part of. And one of the tasks they got us to do in this group was that some stupid folly shit, man. They had us have these balloons and they were saying, okay, you got to let go of the balloon and make a wish. And to me that's folly shit, but a lot of women, they'll believe in this, like, oh yeah, it's really helpful. No, it's just foolishness. And at the time I remember thinking, well, what would you wish for if you had a wish? And in my mind I said, I hope that Yahweh Shem Yahshai comes back and destroys this place. And I didn't let go of the balloon at that point, but later on, after the thing had ended, because I said I don't want to make no foolish wishes, right? After the group had ended, I had the balloon in my hand and I remember thinking, Lord, I hope you come and destroy this place, right? And I let go of the balloon. Now the balloon was filled with helium, right? And as we know, a balloon that's filled with helium is supposed to rise. But this balloon didn't rise. I let go of it, and instead of it going up, it went down on the floor. And I was like, whoa, that's an anomaly, man. That goes against scientific, the laws of science. And I thought this has got to be a sign from the Most High, right? And the balloon was literally just skirting along the floor like it was a football. I'm thinking, how is that possible? I turned around and there was an Edomite woman standing behind me. I was like, did you see this? Are you looking at this? And she goes, yeah. And the first thing she tried to do is like, she tried to make an explanation for it. Says, oh, but maybe there's a downdraft or maybe it's... I'm like, nah, man. Nah, man. The Most High controls these things, right? Now, she was an Edomite. And I knew she was an Edomite from the way she was talking, but she was... I was saying, no, man. There are invisible forces which we can't see. Like I just said at the beginning of this this lesson, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I'm saying there's invisible forces which control things, and it's an invisible force, the Spirit of the Most High, which made the balloon move the way it moved, because that's not normal, you know, it's not normal by any stretch. So she was talking to me and she goes, oh, but I don't understand you. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, she's like, oh, but I find it very hard to understand your faith. I mean, and the thing is, she thought she was a Christian. So that was funny in itself, because she thought that she was one of God's chosen people and that, you know, Jesus was a white man and all this kind of shit. Even though she wasn't so-called following any Bible or stuff, anything like that, she actually thought she was one of God's chosen people. And I thought, you know what, man, this is just an Edomite. And I could tell by the way she was talking. And I says, no, man. And she says, but I don't understand it. How you have so much faith. I mean, how can you have so much faith? It's a mystery to me. And I was thinking to myself, that's because you're an Edomite, man. And you Edomites don't understand spiritual things. Well, you do on the left-hand side, but when it comes to the Most High, you ain't got no understanding, man. So, why was I saying that? Because I kind of lost my train of thought. Yeah, John 17:16, right? I pray that thou shouldest not take them out of the world, that thou shouldest keep them from the evil. John 14, read that again. I have given them thy word, and the world have hated them, because they are not of the world. So yeah, the reason why I was talking about an Edomite woman was because my whole mindset was completely alien to anything she could understand. Because she couldn't understand why I would have so much faith in an invisible power. Because she started talking shit about like, oh, but yeah, evolution and all kind of shit. Like, anything to not have to do with a Most High. And that's another way you can often spot an Edomite, because when you bring out spiritual things, they'll try and jump to something else to try and justify that there is not a power, that there is not a Most High. But everything that we do is based on the knowledge that the Most High is and that He exists and that He's a rewarder of them that diligently seek Him. So, yeah, John 17:15 once more. I pray that thou shouldest take them out of the... I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but that thou should keep them from the evil. And that's another thing she couldn't understand, because I said to her, man, I said I have enemies. And she couldn't understand that. She goes, oh, I really feel sorry for you that you think that you have enemies. And I was thinking in my head, I'm looking at one of them right now when I'm speaking to her, because she's an Edomite. and she's nothing but one of the wicked. Yeah. The thing is, I was trying to be polite because I didn't want to offend her too much. But I was thinking, the reason why you don't understand this is because you're an Edomite. And when I said, yeah, but you know, there's enemies who are doing X, Y, and Z. Oh, I feel really bad that you think we have enemies, and that makes me really sad. And I'm like, that's what these Edomites do, man. They want to try and act like they're your friend, when really they've got their foot on your neck, man. And they want to keep their foot on your neck perpetually. That's why we need Yahushua to come back and to deliver us from that. And this is why I'm saying, once you wake up to this knowledge, how can you ever pretend that it ain't real? Like, how can you deceive, well, you don't deceive yourself, the Most High will deceive you, but how could you ever go back to being cool with this world, knowing what you know? It's like, yeah, how can you do that? It just doesn't make any logical sense to me. But anyway, reading on, back in the Hebrews, because I was talking about faith. Find it once more. Back in Hebrews, the 11th chapter. Right. Right, Hebrews 11 verse 14. For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. Now let me read from 13 again. Right, Hebrews 11:13, Salakia. These all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. That's the perfect scripture to sum up our life at this time. We're like pilgrims on this earth, man. We haven't received the promises as of yet, but we believe through faith that they're going to come very soon. And we're basically following in the footsteps of the great prophets that came before us and prophesied of these things, going all the way back to Genesis. You know, we're very close now to the time of the end, and we can see it by seeing how all the prophecies are lining up. We see all the events taking place in the news, and just looking at the earth. So, yeah, come here when you're ready. Just looking at the earth around you, man. Like, common sense should show to you that this place cannot stand in the way it's going, because there's too much variance in this place. Everything is set against everything. Like, even in something as simple as the school system, right? There they are trying to push this LGBTQ thing on the children, and not everybody's with that. And that in itself shows that this place is divided against itself, and it can't stand, because if Satan be divided against Satan, how can his house stand? It's gonna collapse, and we are beginning to see that collapse, man. It's like a domino effect, you know, like when they line up the dominoes and they flip one domino and it causes a chain reaction and all the other ones fall down. That's what we're seeing, man. It's like this place is literally imploding right as we imploding. This place is imploding right in front of us. And again, reading on, it says, these all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they are strangers and pilgrims on the earth. For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. And truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned. But now they desire a better country, that is an heavenly. Wherefore the Most High is not ashamed to be called their God, for he hath prepared for them a city. So that's another beautiful thing, man. We want to be accepted by the Most High himself, so that he's not ashamed of us. You know, so as I read in Ecclesiastes 12 and 13, fear the Most High, keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man, right? So when we're doing that, me personally, that's a very, very good feeling. Because if I'm not doing what the Most High, if I'm going off, essentially, there's a certain way I feel and it ain't good, man. Because in my spirit, I know that shit, man, I'm doing something wrong, and I'm afraid when I do that. And that's the beginning of wisdom, when you're afraid of the Most High. Because it's going to sound silly, but ever since I was a little boy, there's a feeling I get like when my knees feel hollow. If I'm doing something stupid that's going against what the Most High wants me to be doing, I get that feeling, and I feel like, kind of like, you know, you start sweating and you start shaking and shit, man. And I mean, the Most High has a power to be feared, man.
Where it says, fear the Lord and tremble.
Indeed.
So you're in the right state of mind.
May I give a testimony just briefly?
Go on.
Alright, when I was a young boy, I was kind of stressed out, under a lot of stress, so sometimes I wouldn't eat, But what I didn't, now I'm older, I understand that at the time I was fasting and praying, but I didn't know what fasting and praying was. But there's times when I wouldn't eat, so my mum used to have to go to great lengths to make me eat, right? So there's certain times where, like, I'd be sitting at the table and like everybody else would finish, and my mum would be like, you're not getting up until you finish your plate of food, right? And I'd be stuck there. So what I did, I must have been about maybe 6 or 7 years old. I really didn't want to eat, so I thought, well, let me try and hide it in the bin. So I'd go to the bin, and I put it in the bin. Then my mum would say, why you throw the food away? I saw it in the bin, yeah? So what I then started to do is, okay, I've got to be a bit smarter. Instead of putting the food on the top of the bin, I used to have to lift stuff up and put the food in and put other stuff on top. But guess what, my mum still found it, right? So one time I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? And I was alone at the table, and I thought, okay, I'll hide it in my school bag. I was a child, I was stupid, right? I thought I'll hide the food in my school bag, that way my mum won't see it, and when she's not looking, I'll try and throw it in the bin. So I put the food in the school bag. I was stupid, right? I was a child. And I put it there, and this was in the summer holiday, so I forgot about it because I wasn't going to school. Now, at the end of the summer holiday, the day before I was supposed to go back to school, my mum opened the bag, and obviously the food had been in there, and it was fermenting, and it stank. And she's like, what? How did food get in the school bag? And I was like, oh shit, because I'd forgotten all about it. And she's like, oh shit. And she's like, did you put the food in the school bag? And I lied, and I said no, because I didn't want to get beat. And she goes, well, who put the food in the school bag? She asked my brother, did you do it? He's like, no, I didn't do it. Who put it in the school bag? And I didn't tell the truth because I didn't want to get beat, right? So my mum was perplexed by this. She's like, what, did someone put it in there by accident or what? And she goes, all right. So the next morning, she was still asking, who put it in the school bag? And I was like, well, it wasn't me. So she goes, all right, you boys go to school. When you come home, we're going to get to the bottom of this, right? So all day at school, I was like, oh shit, man.
So it's starting to get real.
Yeah, I was like, I'm there stressing.
When your parents tell you we're going to get down to the bottom of this, you know.
Exactly. I knew there's hell was going to break loose. Right? So all day at school, I was thinking, I was stressing, thinking, oh shit, man. And I'm looking at my watch thinking, oh, it's coming home close to home time. How am I going to get out of this? So I finally get home from school, and my brother gets home, and we're both sat there, and my mum's like, right, we're not getting up until we get to the bottom.
That's a hub.
She's like, we're not going to stop until we get to the bottom of this. Who put the food in the bag? My brother says it wasn't me. She says, did you put the food in the bag? I said, it wasn't me. We sat there for about 10 minutes. She goes, right, look. She says to my brother, right, go upstairs and get the Bible, right? So my brother went upstairs and he got the Bible and he brought it in. And my mum says to us, right, I want you both to put your hand on the Bible and swear that you didn't put the food in the bag.
Your right hand on the Bible.
Yeah, now this is technically going off because you're not supposed to swear on the Bible, but my mum was just doing this to get to the bottom of it. My brother did it, right? He says, oh, I didn't put the food in the bag. And my mum says, now it's your turn. And the amount of fear I felt at that point in time, I was like, no, I broke down and I started crying because, okay, it's one thing to lie to your mum, but I don't ever want to lie to the Most High. And I was terrified because I was like, nah, man, the Most High is a power that I'm not going to mess with because that's the ultimate power. So I was like, no. I started crying. I said, I put the food in the bag because I didn't want to eat and I was afraid that you beat me and blah, 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 blah. I confessed and I told the truth. Now, to be honest, I didn't get beat. Shalom. To be honest, I didn't get beat by my mum. But the reason why I think I didn't get beat is because she saw how terrified and how badly I was crying at the thought of having to swear on the Bible and tell a lie like that. So she saw that I was already messed up in the spirit anyway. But from that day forth, I said, look, you know what? No matter the situation, I'm always going to try and tell the truth because that whole feeling of when you've told a lie and it's just, I've done something wrong and, I don't feel right. Like, you can't, I can't live like that, man. Like, there's a lot of people out there who can tell a lie or tell many, many lies, and they're cool, man.
Well, that's why the scripture says of, what is it, false tongue is an abomination to the Lord. So it's in your spirit to tell the truth. That's what we're made to do, is just to speak the truth, not to lie. Now Esau, he has another heart. His heart is to tell lies and feel no way about it. Like I said, that's what he was made to do. You know? So yeah, Ak, if you can, brother, just real quick, if you can read that same scripture.
What was I reading? Hebrews 11, yeah?
Yeah.
About the promises of far off, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so Hebrews 11 verse 14. For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country, and truly if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned, but now they desire a better country that is in heavenly, wherefore the Most High is not ashamed to be called their God, for he hath prepared for them a city.
So these desire a better country. What does that mean? Meaning we desire to go back to our own land. Now we can't go back to our own land, and many of our people that were a part of this individual, forgot his name, Ben something Israel. What he tried to do is he tried to call himself and gathering the people that was there in America to go back to Israel. But that's not really what the Lord wanted. What the Lord wanted is to bring us back there, and as it is written. Because right now, the fake people are going to be dwelling in that land for a particular point of time. Like it says in the scripture says that Israel shall be trodden in the days of the Gentiles, until the days of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So they're going to physically tread down the land, which is what they're doing right now, and as well as the nation. So that's how the Lord is setting this thing up. But in the middle of this nuclear war, those people are going to get just basically obliterated in that land, and as well as America and certain parts down here as well.
Yeah.
And then once all of the smoke and dust is settled, or in the middle of that, should I say, we're going to be delivered from because we're going to have to be delivered from the nukes.
Yeah.
So through that in itself, that's how we're going to be sent back home.
That's right.
Simultaneously, Slakia, when the nuclear war happens, simultaneously the Lord is going to come back and deliver us and send us back home. And by that time, once we get back home, that place is going to be destroyed.
Yep.
And we're going to have to rebuild back, as it says, the desolate places. So we seek a better country to come, okay? Because in this country, we're going to actually rule it. Go on,
Yep.
brother.
If I may just add to what you're saying, you're talking about Israel, right?
Yeah.
I heard a statistic, I hope it's true, but they're saying 86% of the adult population have taken the clot shot over there.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that's true, because that's another way that the Most High is going to destroy the people
Yeah.
in that
Brother,
land.
I could confirm that that's true.
Oh, wow.
I've seen it. Yeah,
Right, yeah,
it's-
Hashem,
it's
Hashai.
That's a
Yeah.
blessing.
So they're all taking it, and that's another way the Most High is eliminating them people from that land, man.
Right.
But that land still needs to be cleansed anyway through the nukes and everything else.
Yeah. So that's going to be the land that we're going to go back home to. And that's what makes us what? Like it says in the book of Job 5. And I just want you to begin with that. But I want you to read this again.
Yep.
And then we'll get to Job 5.
Right,
Yeah.
Hebrews 11:13. These all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off,
Yep.
and were persuaded of them,
Right.
and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth.
Right. And confess that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. Just like how we do right now. Every time I start speaking,
These come up, yeah.
things start coming up, man.
You
So,
know,
yeah.
if you ignored him, they leave. You know, when I used to go camping when I was younger, there was a guy, right? We used to laugh at him every time they take the camera around. He's and he's fighting them, and they come more when you do that. If you can ignore them and just do what you're doing,
They'll get bored.
they'll go and they'll just leave you alone. You know.
Okay,
Go on.
You know.
I'll try to adhere to that.
If you can do that, if you can.
Go on.
I understand if you can't though. because-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, read that again.
Right. These all died in faith, not having received the promises,
Huh.
but having seen them afar off.
Like one apostle or one prophet, which is the Apostle Paul. He died and believed that he was going to receive, the crown of life. He said, I've done the work, and the work has been done. I'm roughly paraphrasing
Fought the
what he
good fight
said.
of faith.
Right, I fought the good fight of faith. So he believed afterwards he was going to receive the crown, not knowing that he would have to prophesy again. Because all of the prophets that died in the Lord, they came back over in another captivity. And in this other captivity, they got to do the work and die again and receive. Some of them have to die again and receive the prize. Because the prophecy of, the empire which would come after the ancient Roman Empire would have to come into effect, which we're in right now, which is the prophecy of an empire which represents or should I say, the 10 toes. Let me reiterate what I'm saying. The 10 toes of the statue, which represents the last part of the Roman Empire, which also represents the last of all of the paganistic empires. So we're in that society, and these societies would have to have came to pass. All right? Or this society, more in particular, which is the last of them all. So we would have to come back in this world again and prophesy against it all over again. That's why we haven't received what we've received, the blessings, the kingdom. Go on, brother.
Come on, be careful, there's some documents around here.
Okay,
somewhere.
thanks for telling me.
Yeah. So
Reading on, it says, having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth.
Yep.
For they that say such things declared plainly that they seek a country.
Right.
And if truly they had been mindful
And
of...
they say plainly, right?
Yeah, saying plainly, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing right now. We're seeking for the kingdom of heaven to come. Because as it reads in other verses, it says that that we seek a city to come. We have no continual dwelling place, and we seek one to come. So this is why it says in certain parts of the scriptures that Israel is likened unto the poor. Because think about it, I mean, Esau runs this whole entire world from left to right.
Yeah.
Okay, you could talk about how he runs the resources in Africa, and that's why them people down in Africa today are poor, even though they possess a land which is ridden with a whole lot of resources which can upbeat their economy and obviously get their people, living decently well. So Esau controls, not only does he control the world, but he controls all of the resources and the elements. All right, and he'll put like front men to make sure that the rest of the people that are in these lands remain to be poor. All right, and they gather all of the wealth for themselves to boost their economy up. So Esau is killing it right now. But when we're dealing with the children of Israel, as it says in the curses, that for the one of all things we shall receive it from our enemies, that includes living on his land. That includes having to, if you want to buy or sell something, you got to go to him because you're on his land. So when you have a nation that doesn't have no possession of anything on the earth, then they're considered the poor. That's why we're at the bottom. But this nation has hope in the book of Job. Let's read this.
Right, just quick, shall I bring up the precept to
Yeah,
continue?
yeah.
Right. Habakkuk 2 verse 5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine,
Yep.
he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home.
Yeah, that's Esau, as well as, because when you think about it, that scripture right there shows you, like, in order for you to really see the scripture, in order for you to bring the scripture alive, you have to look into certain articles and that. And what you'll find out is that Esau has, 800 plus military bases all around in different countries. So this is a total empire. It is an above and beyond a greater empire than everybody else. Now you have other nations that have their portion on this earth, but Esau is really killing it right now. Because like I said, they have access to all of the resources. They're living the best above everybody else, which substantiate their lifestyle. And they have their military powers backing them as well. So they're good. They're straight. But at the same time, they're going to lose all of that. Okay? And all of that is going to be translated into the hands of the poor. So that's it on that. Go on, brother.
Khan, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people.
Yeah, and that's what the New World Order is all about. These devils, they want to heap unto them all nations, and that's their desire. Because if you can bring everybody together and have everybody believe that everybody's one, then you can rule the people more easily, rather than having people divided against themselves. This is why people have been trained to think that it's okay, even though people are racist in their own way.
Yeah.
But even that's the case, there'll always be division amongst the people. Because you have a thing such as racism. And racism you can't get rid of. That's always going to remain in the hearts of many nations today. All right? Because the Lord created that dividency amongst the nations, going all the way back to Genesis the 11th chapter. Okay? But that's what Esau wants to do. Esau wants to set up a world, which is what Nimrod the king wanted to set up back in Genesis chapter 10. But it failed miserably. So the whole concept of this one world system, it's an old tactic, which was played out and never worked. All right? But getting back to the point is that what I want to get into is Job 5, brother. If you can get Job 5, verse Job 5, verse 16. Because everything that Esau has, they're going to have to give it up. They're going to lose everything, and including they're going to lose their life. All right? And that's one of the things that the poor, which is what we are today. Now, you got a lot of the people on the face of the earth are poor, but the Lord ain't recognized these other nations. The Lord is only recognizing the nation who he sent his only begotten son to die for. And as well as he likens them as the apple of his own eye. So the nation which is the poor that he chosen is the nation of Israel, who has hope. Go on, brother. Let's read this.
Job 5 verse 16. So the poor have hope, and iniquity stoppeth her mouth.
Yeah.
Behold, happy is the man whom the Most High correcteth.
Yep.
Therefore, despise not the chastening of the Almighty.
Yeah, and why is it that the poor have hope? Because there's many scriptures showing you that we're going to be raised up out of captivity, and and get access to the wonderful things which will follow into the kingdom of heaven. And that includes we're gonna own land, and as well as we're gonna own people and own all of the resources and righteousness.
Wow.
So that's the reward of the righteous. That's why we don't really worry about the world, because what did Yahushua said? He said, forsake everything and focus on the kingdom, and all of those things will be added unto you.
Yeah.
Because this world, like I said, we ain't shit in this world. So, you know, it would behoove us to be the shit in this truth.
That's
so
right.
we can be the shit in the world, rather than being the shit in this world and losing your life to nothingness. Because everybody's living their life and got themselves going on in their own unique way. But all of this is going to be without. And once all of this is without, then all of this greatness that people had in the world is going to be forgotten about. The only thing that's going to be remembered is what the prophets of the Lord did.
That's right.
All right. So even like when we think about these celebrities, I'm going all over the place, right? But when you think about these celebrities and the works that they've done in this world, that's going to be forgotten about. You're not going to remember what Will Smith did. You're not going to remember what Denzel Washington did. You're not going to remember what Don Cheadle did and the rest of these individuals. They're not going to be remembered. None of what they've done is going to be remembered. The only thing that's going to stand and be always as a memorial is the works that we did.
That's right.
And you can even read the scriptures right now. When you read the scriptures about when you read the Bible, what are you reading about? Who are you reading about? You're reading about the prophets, the works that they done. Now there were probably other Jakes that were singers and sportsmen and all of that stuff, because Jake were people of skill and art. All right, and there's nothing that we can't do. So there were probably skilled Jakes on many different things that they were good at. But the Lord wasn't focused on all of that mess. He was only concerned with what the prophets were saying.
That's right.
All right? Because it's all about the prophets. It started with the prophets, and damn it, it's going to end with the prophets. So our word counts above everything else. Go on, now. Let's read that.
So once again, Job 5 verse 16. So the poor have hope, and iniquity stoppeth her mouth.
Yeah, and we're going to be the ones to raise up the poor. Because we're the head of the poor nation, which is the nation of Israel. All right? So if we're delivered, it's going to be by us that the nation is going to be residing in wealth. Let's read that again. The poor have hope.
Job 5:16 once more. So the poor have hope, and iniquity stoppeth her mouth.
Right.
Behold, happy is the man whom the Most High correcteth.
Yep.
Therefore despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty.
Yeah.
For he maketh sore and bindeth up.
Huh.
He woundeth, and his hands make whole.
And also, poor doesn't just represent meaning that you're financially broke. You're at a disadvantage financially. It doesn't mean, it can't just mean that. Or it doesn't, it doesn't just have to mean that. It could also mean that you have poor health.
Yes.
Like, what did Solomon say? Solomon said that a well-set body is above rubies. I'm roughly paraphrasing what he said. So you could be poor in that. All right? And once you got poor health, your life is basically much more difficult to live. So you could be poor in that sort of predicament right there. But when you think about it, who did the Lord go to? Yahushua. He went to the sick and the lame to heal them. And he also went to the sinners. So those that were in need, he went to. He didn't go to those that were not in need. Okay? And even when you look at the brothers in Great Millstone, like the Apostle Har had out, years back, a few years ago, that most of the brothers in Great Millstone are sick.
That's right.
So we got to be the men of the Lord, potentially. Lord willing, we are. Because we fit probably those same men that was following him in the reincarnation that were sick.
I got one for you.
Going out.
1 Corinthians 1 and 26 says, For ye see your calling,
Yeah.
brethren, how that not many wise men after the
Thank
flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are
Right.
called.
Yeah, so the Lord didn't call good orators or good musicians that are great in this world. He called those that were poor in health or poor not having any financial, not having hardly any finances in their in their bank account. So those are the people that the Lord is going to be building with to show his magnification. How can the Lord show his magnification if he's getting all of these great men? Go on, brother.
But Jehovah hath chosen the foolish things of the world
Right.
to confound the wise, and Jehovah hath chosen the weak things of the world
Right.
to confound the things which are mighty.
Yeah, and that's what we represent. Because when you think about the whole nation is as weak as a worm, as the Lord put it. I believe it's in one of the books.
Not worm, Jacob.
Right, which is in the book of Jeremiah. One of the books in Jeremiah, the chapters.
Yeah.
So we're likened unto a worm. We're weak, but through our weakness, what is it? We're made strong.
Strong.
And therefore, through our weakness, is the Lord's name is going to be magnified. All right. So that's just how that's going to go down. Go on, brother. At the very
Last
end.
one, yeah? And the base things of the world and the things which are despised
Right.
have God chosen.
Yeah.
The things which are not to bring to naught the things that are.
And that's what we're all about. We're the things that are despised, as you have it today. The 12 tribes of Israel are despised amongst all of these other nations. More in particular, the so-called white man, because he hates all of these people on this sign. He doesn't like so-called Mexicans. He doesn't like so-called Puerto Ricans, and he doesn't like so-called blacks. But that's not a coincidence, because it goes back to Jacob and Esau, the war that they had between themselves, which Esau is their father and Jacob is our father, which have been warring against one another. That's why when you talk to them personally, or when you're in a room with them, there's this tension. There's this spiritual tension that's always there.
That's right.
So even though the world will tell you, oh, well, racism is dead and gone, everybody's racist. I'm a racist. They're racist, but they just don't want to come out and say it.
Can't.
Okay? They don't like so-called Negroes, and I don't like them either. But that tension is always going to be there. All right? But you got the ones of our people that think that no one's racist. Hardly anybody's racist. Man, everybody's racist out here. You understand? Like, go on, brother. You want to say
I was
something?
just going to say, people are walking around with that Sesame Street mentality. Like
Yeah.
everybody loves everybody and the world's all nice and
Right.
nobody's got any wicked intentions. Everybody's just
Good people.
happy.
Yeah. That's not the reality. Everybody, you know what the reality is? Most people don't give a flying fuck about you. And
That's
most
right.
people are full of shit.
That's right.
So I mean, if you can come up with that mentality, you can deliver yourself, man. I'm not saying we could deliver ourselves, but you can be more in a safe place,
Yes.
because you got all kinds of people out there that will use you, take advantage of you for the little that you may have that they don't have, or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. People are shiesty out here, man. Don't get it twisted. Don't think that people are just all good people. That's not the reality. The reality is most of these people are full of shit.
That's
And I'm
right.
not saying that because, I'm angry or whatever emotion I'm feeling, which I'm sort of in a good mood today, but I'm just speaking for the sake of the truth.
Yeah.
The average person is not right, man.
Yeah.
If I may,
Going up.
that goes into what I was speaking about earlier, because what I said is that the more you come into this truth, the more you start to see people for who they really are.
That's right,
Yeah.
brother. That's
and they
right.
see you for who you are.
Right.
And then you start to realize, hang on a minute, these people have got no integrity whatsoever. Like, as I said,
Like you was talking about earlier before.
yeah, we're bound by the law, statutes, and commandments, but someone who's like not, there's nothing that they won't do.
Yeah.
And the times that are coming are going to reveal this side of people's nature.
Yep.
Where
Yeah.
it says people are going to invade each other's houses,
Yeah.
and spoil them for the lack of bread and for great tribulation.
Yeah.
All these people who you thought, oh yeah, he's my mate on the job, or yeah, he's just Dave from down the road. The horns, the claws, the fangs are all going to come out when people are hungry, man.
Right.
Oh, precept for you as well.
Yeah.
Matthew 9 verse 12, but when Yahushua heard that, he said unto them, they that are whole need not a physician,
There you go.
but they that are sick.
But they that are sick. So the Lord didn't go to those that were whole. He